That's the thing. There's a polarity to everything. That is a law of polarity, right? You cannot have good without bad. You can't have health without disease. You can't have hot with cold, So we have to embrace that in some ways and always see the positive and enjoy the journey, as you said, somewhat. The funny thing is that I've met so many patients with some serious diagnoses that were absolutely, their life could have been over right now, but they look back on those points, those that diagnosis, that suffering, and are able to say it's one of the best blessings I've had. It made me appreciate life. It's made me a much happier person. I'm doing things now that I probably wouldn't have done ever, that are truly my purpose now, and I'm so happy. And it's like, wow, that's great, because you saw something so negative and it turned out to really be a positive in your journey.
Which is the journey of the alchemist.
Yes.
Transform poison into medicine. Right.
Speaking of alchemy, I heard you are into spagyric medicine. Is that right?
Well, that's the ancient Taoist approach. Is like, how do you take something that's poisonous and make it medicine? So spagyric is the Western approach.
It's the westernized approach, because I, studied, Paracelsus' work, and we actually distributed products for a company named Soluna, Sol, Luna, Sun, Moon, out of Germany. Nice. That was based on Paracelsian philosophy and everything. And it is fascinating, right?
It is. It's very, very cool stuff of like, how do we do this? And it's interesting. The Taoists, most of their intense alchemical work was with heavy metal, arsenic, mercury, and a lot of that information was lost. The processing of how to make use of cinnabar, of orpiment, of realgar, in ways that you could ingest it and use it for psycho-spiritual growth. The processing methods were lost. It survived in Vedic medicine. And so in India, you have Rasa Shastra, which is the ancient processing of many different minerals, many different substances, but including these very toxic heavy metals that are safe for ingestion. And it's interesting because those substances in that alchemy, part of what makes them toxic is how they cross the blood-brain barrier. But maybe if they're processed properly, they can cross the blood-brain barrier, actually therapeutic. And of course, we know that in the treatment of disease, getting herbal medicine, getting supplements, or getting pharmaceuticals to cross that barrier is one of the bigger challenges.
Absolutely. And it's crazy how people thousands of years ago, again, the ancients, were able to do these things, right? Things that we're still trying to do now, and looking at neuropeptides and nanoparticle and all these different things, right? And they did this. They did this 1,000 years ago. And anyone listening, if you want to jump in a cool rabbit hole, look into alchemical medicine, spagyric medicine as it's called in the West. But I mean, there's so much there that you could start to, just learn about. And even then going into anthroposophy and Steiner's work and others. And it does lead you. For me, it was like an opening into so much more, into understanding the importance of the spiritual aspect of life, of health and healing as well, psycho-emotional. Why us just staring at the physical and biochemistry is just not enough. And that is showing, right? It's showing in medicine right now. If you only go that route, well, you're going to have problems, because you're never going to truly heal.
Yeah, that's my argument against going down those rabbit holes of specialization is, do we want to go deep into understanding the chemistry of how something affects the body? Yes, but we need to take that information that we discover and reintegrate that knowledge back into looking at the whole person. That if we just look at it for like, oh, it's going to affect this one pathway, which will affect this one part, and we don't look at the rest of the human experience, we've missed it. It's just, it has to circle back and be reintegrated into the whole.
Yeah.
You can go specialize, but you have to back, because there's no way to set out your emotional experience from your physical experience. Nobody has succeeded in doing that, because it's not possible.
Right.
Because you're not a robot.
And we get that better viewpoint of everything when we're able to go microscopic at times into these things, but always go back. I think that's the alchemical process of evolution, right? You always kind of go in and out. And each time you do that, there is a transformation, almost a transmutation that goes better. So if we're able to go in and look at something like epigenetics and, really studied it, but then step all the way back out and look at all of these things and apply it as a whole in this holistic macrocosmic approach, that's where you see this transmutation and this evolution towards something better. And you keep doing that. You go further down the rabbit hole, but then you step all the way back out, right?
Yeah. That's the Taoist model.